We get inside the minds of amazing individuals, of amazing comedians, amazing people, entrepreneurs, multi-hyphens. It doesn't matter what. On this show, it's all about the discovery, and I hope that you got a good feel for what I discovered today, and that's just dope energy. Ladies and gentlemen, you already know what this is. This is Gold Mines. What up, world? Welcome to an all-new episode of Gold Mines, and you already know what we do here. We get inside the minds of amazing people, and goddamn it, today will be no different. You know, I say this, and I do not say it lightly. There's moments where you've heard me say I'm a fan. There's moments where you hear, and I guess you could say where you've heard me voice my level of just like understanding for one's approach to the business, especially when comedy or laughter is intact or a part of what one may be doing. But when I see a hyphenate, I get excited. I get excited to talk to a hyphenate. And for my listeners, you guys should know what a hyphenate is by now. Hyphenate is a multifaceted talent where you basically say, I don't do just one, but I choose to do 2, 3, or 4. Not because I have to, but because I want to. Doors get open because hyphenates figure out how to kick them. Man, I'm talking to a kicker today. God damn, how do I do it, guys? How do these introductions just get this fucking good? It flows because it's genuine. It's authentic. Authentic. Let me give you a breakdown, all right? My guy that I'm talking to today, first of all, he has 6 studio albums called Dark Times, which released May. Okay, that's a big deal. Currently on Black in America tour, and season 1 of the Vince Staples Show debuted in February. Guys, guess what? That's not it, because they got picked up to do a season 2. It was greenlit. To get greenlit, that means you had to do good shit. I know that because I've been greenlit. Haven't been greenlit in a while, though. That hurts. All right, guys, I'm excited to talk to my person, a musician, a writer, a creator, once again, a hyphenate. Please welcome Vince Staples to Gold Mines. What an intro, Vince.
That was a good one.
That was a fucking great one.
Yeah.
It's not prepped. I don't write shit down, Vince.
Nah, it's just you. You got it.
It's all me, man. I think before we get into any level of questioning, I just got to start off by saying congrats. And congrats on just being a doer. Right? Like when you say your 6th album, that's a big deal. Of course, your stance in music is not one that's like small, right? Mm-hmm. People know who you are. They know what you do. And you're now doing it at a different level. But to do that and then make the decision to go and jump into the world of acting. And, you know, I like that it's on different layers and on different levels. Like before you got, of course, to the Vince Staples Show, there was Insecure. I know you dabbled with Abbott. Mm-hmm. You know, you've got your feet wet and you took a liking to it, and then you decided to develop and create your own, and to find that success there, to come back, do a show, get a pickup, still maintain and do the music. I love it because one doesn't make you forget about the other. So start off by just giving you your flowers. That's a big deal. And you should know that that's a big fucking deal. LA's proud. I feel like it's a good time to be in LA. It's a good time to be from LA. I like to know why. I like to know why people took the step in the direction that they're now going on. So why music? What was the reason for music? Was it because of the pioneers of the city that did it before you, or just a love from your family, your foundation? What is it that sparked the appetite for you to go in the direction of music first?
I mean, you know, as you get older, kind of the things that you see and the things that you experience in success kind of help you understand how you get there, right? So at the beginning, it's like, oh, this is just a hobby. This is just something that we do for fun. And then fun becomes passion, or it might be something that you could get finances from. But I think as I get older, I realize that music is a very important part of like reflection in the Black community. It's a very big part of personality. It's a big part of being forward facing to the rest of the world. So even before I was thinking about making music, even though I wasn't what I consider to be an avid music listener or a real fan, because those words carry weight and they mean a lot to me. Music is something that's always around, whether you deal with church, whether you deal with your friends and family, dancing, family parties, Christmas, Thanksgiving, your mom is religious, cleaning the house, singing, in the car with dad, or the difference between your different grandparents and what they listen to. I think music is just something that's been important for Black people historically, because our lack of education, our lack of resources, our lack of being able to articulate ourselves in a way that the world deems to be correct politically. And I think that being something that's ingrained in Black people, I think anyone can do music from a philosophical standpoint, but it's about the work that you do to make it work. Because at the beginning, you trash.
Yeah, I was about to say, and anybody can't do it. Then I love the attempt there, but I want to let you know that I have no shot, right? Like and I have an amazing work ethic, but I have no shot.
I don't think that's true. You just don't know your tempo.
No.
You don't know your tempo. What's
I
your
know
tempo?
my voice. I know my voice.
If you need the key for the voice. If you get the right key, you'll be good. I'm telling you.
See, the thing is, I wouldn't try to rap. I would want to be a singer. That's the thing. And that's where I fuck up at. Because I'm all singing vibes all day, right? I got slow music mannerisms, but I don't have the voice to match my want. You understand what I'm saying? And I think there's a lot of people out there just like that. But they don't accept the reality like I have.
You can't go James Brown?
Fuck, man. Maybe I could.
See? You're not thinking about it.
This guy's a fucking
You got to go
genius.
James Brown.
He just cracked the code. All this time I've been trying to fucking be Luther Vandross. And I should have been James Brown. God damn it. That's the problem. See what I'm saying? I ain't got nobody.
I get what you're saying. That one don't come with an invoice, though. That's us.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I got you.
The fact that you got there that fast is nuts. I got to get in the studio today. Here's my question to you, right? When you say everybody has it, everybody understands that they can do it. What I love to ask people is the moment when you realize, fuck, this is what I now want to do. Like, there's a moment where there's a moment where you feel like you can, or you think you can. But then there's a moment where you truly know, holy shit, this is possibly what I'm destined to do. I'm good at this. My talent is best served here. When did that light bulb go off for you?
It's funny, actually, because I've been making music roughly for the past 15 years. And I didn't get that moment until probably post-COVID.
Wow.
Working for the first time freely. I think when you're young, you start young, and it's this opportunity to, the tropes, we finna get out the hood, or we finna, put the city on or make a name for myself, make a name for our community. But then you realize later down the line that it's nothing wrong with the community. It's nothing wrong with the name that you serve. There's nothing wrong with you and your people, because you see the world and you realize how it's the same fucked up shit everywhere, man. And it's the same sense of greed, the same sense of repression, all those things for people of color, Black people, but just the marginalized people around the world. And then you see the support from those marginalized people. You see the love that you get from those marginalized people. We can be out in Germany doing the show, and then we learning about how African people or Black people in general are trying to trailblaze and kick in the door on hip hop music in Germany. And it's like, in my world, we are hip hop music, but when you go there, it's controlled by other people. More forward-facing artists aren't necessarily Black. And hearing that, me being smaller artist in the grand scheme of things, right? I have influence over certain people, and then you feel the love for those people, and then you come back home and you bring that love back. Like, it's a life lesson that I learned early on, because, being young, growing up in the environment that I grew up in, a lot of the times you fall victim to certain circumstances, certain cultural things, thinking that is you versus your neighbors or you versus the other people, when it's really you versus the system that's been put in place. So at a young age, I had to move to Atlanta and get in a little bit of trouble, and I came back and I realized how beautiful California is. I'm noticing the weather, I'm noticing the trees, I'm noticing the freedom that we have. I'm noticing I had the ability to walk to the beach. As a kid, I had the ability to get on the train or get on the bus and see something that feels completely different. And then I started to appreciate where I came from a little bit more. And that kind of put a battery on my back and kind of alleviated the chip on my shoulder and said, okay, I have to work hard and put my head down and show people representation of what this is. Like, this is not the hood to me. This is not a bad place to me. We're not bad people. This is the situation that we've been brought into. And then you make some money, and then it's like, fuck, now I got to really do it and really go hard. And now it's representation and reputation and all these things on the line. And then I guess over time, as I got older, dealing with loss, dealing with gain, dealing with just things that come with adulthood, because I just turned 30. I had a moment in time where I sat back. I thought about how much money I had. I thought about how hard I had worked. And I was like, okay, based on the standards of where we come from, I've already made it.
Yeah.
It's no pressure.
Yeah.
You look around, everybody proud. The only thing in your way is you and your wants and your needs and your goals. So as I step back and I start recording post-COVID, it's like, oh, wow, this feels familiar to me, or who I am, or what I want to see. And I was creating without that burden on my back. And then I'm like, okay, this is who I am. And that kind of coincides with the show and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's you realizing that you can get out your own way.
Exactly.
Right? Like when you say from the standards, the concept of making it is not, it's actually not that, it's not that big, right? Like
At all.
the idea of making it the idea of success, if you come, from a place of hard times, if you get to any place of I would say, small 6-figure yearly salary, you're deemed successful. You're no longer a check to check person in that environment. And by the way, the goal is to not be check to check. The goal is to have comfort within your month or month to month. And then when you build and you're bi-monthly or it's quarterly and it gets to a annual type situation, your mindset starts to change as to what you're doing, the level you're doing at, and more importantly, like what you want. So you do start to realize it's just you and your expectations or your self pressure, like the things that you're deeming to be the win. And sometimes if you just go and break it down to the ground level, and you'll realize, wow, I should celebrate these moments a little more. These are big moments.
You know, it was such a crazy moment for me. I was in my early 20s, right? And my mother had me in her late 30s. Like, I got a sister that's 56 years old. You know what I mean? So I was way on the back end. My parents was watered down. They was washed up. They was done. It was like, nigga, do what you want. Just don't get in trouble. And we don't got time for this right now. So my mother was always older. And it was a point in time where I was like, all right, she getting too old to be working. Like, so I called my manager. I'm like, hey, bro, we got to figure out how we going to stop my mom from working. We need to figure out how much it's going to cost, yada, yada, yada. And then we call my mom, and we try not to let her know we moving because we trying to do the woo wah. We tell her, hey, you finna start working and we finna move you out of the city. She going to be mad as hell. She was comfortable. So I'm like, hey, mom, just a quick question. How much you make a year? Like, I'm trying to figure out some tax stuff. And she was like, oh, if I got a good year, probably like 27, 28, like if I hustle and like, but if it's bad, I'll probably make like 14, 15.
Yeah.
And it was so crazy to me because I'm like, man, we had surpassed that for one show.
Yeah.
And growing up, I never felt like we lived in poverty. I never felt like we were struggling. Of course, I know we didn't have as much as other people, but I seen my mom working hard and I seen my pops working hard when he was around. And if I'm still on that PlayStation, we getting that PlayStation.
Yeah.
So then it just hit my mind like, wow, comfort and happiness kind of are synonymous, but it's based on who you are and what you see. And seeing that, I was able to take care of my mom fully when I was 18, 19 years old in my mid-20s.
Yeah.
Really just, it was a big burden off of my back, and it allowed me to create freely and create for myself and other people as well. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, well, that's the different, it's the different win, right? Like you shared a mom story. I think my mom passed away. And when my mom passed away, this is the first moment where I was like, fuck, mom was getting it, right? Like, keep in mind, we live in a efficiency. We're in North Philadelphia. We're at the bottom. One room, you got your kitchen as soon as you walk in that room, your goddamn living room is right there. Yeah. You can reach everything in the same room. I can flush the toilet and fry a burger if I chose to. And once again, you never really needed though. Like, we didn't miss meals. We had clothes. I didn't have the Jordans when they came out, but I had some Reebok classics. I had the things that kept me out of harm's way from the shit talking. But my mom passed away. Me and my brother, we got this money. Like, she had put money up. We had insurance money. I remember we probably got like $100,000 a piece. And we was like, what the fuck? Mom was rich. Mom was sitting on fucking all this time. Mom knew she had this in the bag. Like, you would have thought me and my brother, our life changed. By the way, money was gone within 3 weeks. I don't know what I did.
It was out of here.
Fuck that money off, right? I don't know where it went. I think I brought all throwback jerseys. But I had $100,000 worth of fucking Mitchell and Ness jerseys with hats. I mean, I don't think I made, in a 2-week period, I think I may have bought 45 pairs of sneaks. Just shitted that money off. Should never have got it at that age. But my mom, in that environment, understood how to properly manage and operate so that we could be comfortable. My mom was not a check-to-check person. She understood, I got kids. Here's what I need to do. Here's what I need to basically build so that we're always going to be okay. Now, I never got the opportunity to like make sure my mom was good. I never got the opportunity to be like, yo, I'm taking care of my fucking mom. But my dad, I remember like my dad, like asking my dad what he wanted. It's like you kind of feel like you're getting over because this is like when money's starting to come in. I'm getting it at this point. I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna set you up. Like, I'm gonna get you a house. Just go find a house in Philly that you want, and I got you. My dad called me back like 2 hours. He's like, nigga, I got it. I was like, what? I was like, that fast? Oh, nigga, don't look, I got it. Now don't tell me this, you ain't gonna get it. I was like, I got it, Dad. House was like 65 grand. I was like, what? Nigga, I thought I was gonna have to spend some money.
Yeah.
I've never paid for a house faster in my life. But then recently, I mean, as the years went on, I was like, no, let me go and set you up right. But the idea of what comfort is or was, it wasn't as substantial as you would have believed or thought. And that's where I think that's where my mentality got a little grounded and understanding, like, you know, the money is it's all perception based, right? But if you really want to function and you really want to just understand that what you've done is astronomical, well, look at it compared to your surroundings and where you've come from. And if you're able to take care of yourself and you're able to support the career or the dream and you're able to do that comfortably, that's already the win. You've already talked about the win. You've already experienced the highest levels of success. When you're talking about 18, 19 years old, I got mom, let me sit mom up. But more importantly, I can freely try to perfect this thing that I now love to do. That's the win. You've already won. And for my listeners out there, I think people, you look past that. You look past the concept of the dream. You look past the concept of freely being able to work towards the dream, like as you achieve baby steps of success. Some people look past those baby steps. I want to go to like steps, real steps for you. Doing music is one thing, but getting the support of your counters is another, right? And I would say West Coast music is another level because it's such a cult as to understanding the culture, understanding how to navigate properly. Like you said, you got gangs, you got a lot of shit in LA. But when you get the rapport and the respect of your counters, I feel like it's different. And for you, I feel like you have that, right? But when did that come? When did you start to get the return of energy from the other artists in LA? When did you start to get the return of, oh, we fuck with him?
You know what's funny? I think California is such a interesting dynamic when you think about the overwhelming, I guess, just the shadow that we cast over California as Black people. My family, you know, a lot of people migrated from the South. My family been in California since like 1915, 1910, like something super early. And Black people have always been here. We was here as slaves. We was here as sharecroppers. We was here as everything. So we've always been here, but we're such a small portion of this population when you kind of take a step back and look at it. So I feel like naturally we gravitate towards each other. I remember being a kid. When I was a child, my family's from Compton. My brother got paralyzed at a young age, and that made my mother and my father, they were together at the time, want to kind of get out of Compton. So it was a point to where I was a little kid, and we lived in Long Beach. My dad go to prison, we go back to Compton. My dad get out again, we go back to Long Beach. You know what I mean? Trying to find that way to escape because my dad was a handyman. He still to this day washing cars, working at the hospital. Like he always been somebody who kept a job, and that's kind of where I got some of my work ethic from. When you speak about, you know, what your mother's done, it's kind of been the same thing for me. My parents always were working. And I think about just the difference between going back and forth as I get older. It's like going to elementary school with Samoan people and Southeast Asian people, white people, Hispanic people, and then going to school in Compton where it's nothing but Black people. Yeah. And we might have 2 Hispanic people in the school. And it's like, I think that when we see each other, we can tell who's lived a Black experience in this state or in this city. So from the beginning of my career, I always had people who were able to recognize me and who I am and who I was and try to help me, even when I don't want to help myself. Early on, you know, this is before Our Future and stuff had started. It was started, but it wasn't as big as it is now because Tyler created a phenomenon. But I remember being young and I had a friend named DJ, Dijon, and I had a friend named Chuck. And they grew up in my neighborhood and we was always friends. And like they stayed out the streets, they stayed out the gang stuff. And I always admired them for that because in Long Beach growing up, you had to be yourself. Yeah. If you weren't yourself, it was like we looked down on it because it's like we can't trust you. And it's been extremely racially divided, which is something that to this day I really, really want a chance to fix as much as I can. But it's, Black, Southeast Asian versus Hispanic versus white. We have a large skin population, large Hispanic population, large Black population. And it's like we all grew up together, but over time, politics and, indoctrination takes over. So I remember just growing up and being like, I admired the fact that they hung out with us, that they was our friends, but they never felt the need to do that stuff. So when I come back from Atlanta, I'm hanging out in the hood, I'm being around my people, and they had a house on Janus, and they were recording the house. His brother was a rapper named Rameo, his older brother, and one of my best friends, his name is Jordan J. Curry. He do my album packaging, my album artwork, and stuff like that with me now. He was big into music as a kid. Him, one of my friends, Steve, Jay, Ashton, they was all into music. So one day I just go with them to sit in them house, and I'd never seen black people with a house that big. And it was on Crenshaw and St. Charles, and it just blew my mind because, like, this is the hood. This is the quote-unquote ghetto when they got a Uncle Phil house. And mother, father entrepreneur, hustling, like just doing the right thing. So that energy, I just gravitated towards. And I remember being 15 in their house and everybody at school but me. See, they graduated, so they their mom was like, why this little boy in my house when he's supposed to be at school? And then they could tell that I was not necessarily on the wrong path, but I didn't have the life that their children had, but we never talked about it.
Wow.
They never said nothing about it because I'm thinking about it as a 30-year-old man. Like, I'm not letting no little 15-year-old boy I've never seen in my life hang out at my house while my kids is at school.
Wow.
So I've always had that gravitation from Sid and Travis and Mike G. Earl. Then when I got older and started, like 17, 18, started working with Mac Miller, it's just from being around Earl at the time, and then Mac had spent so much time in Los Angeles, he was able to tell the difference in characters. So then as he's working on a project for me, he's bringing in Ab-Soul to meet me. He's bringing in Schoolboy Q to meet me. I didn't know none of them dudes. I just knew who they were. I knew their neighborhoods. And even before Mac was even working with me like that, I had one of my friends, Michael Uzwuru, he had brought me to a studio session he had with Q. And then when TDE was kind of trailblazing at that moment, they've always been trailblazing, but when it was like paying off.
Yeah.
And so I've always had love from them people. I remember being a kid and getting the J-Rock CD at like a basketball game or something like that. And I remember being a kid and getting a game CD that was hosted by Steve-O from Jackass, I think. And it's like just getting so much stuff. And then when you meet these people later down the line, like as much as the negative connotation that is on gangs and things of that nature, what it is, in my opinion, is marginalized people trying to adopt structure because we're not allowed into the other structures. So those structures allow people to be familiar with who you are, what your mannerisms might be, what your personality might be, because they might know your neighborhood. Okay, if I know your neighborhood, I know how neighborhood get down. So I
know what to expect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So me being younger and me being from my neighborhood, but not necessarily, I've always been the different homie, like so they look at me like, oh, I know your homies, but Glasses Malone had told me once, like, yeah, I remember you when you was a kid. I was like, I don't know nothing about you but your music. He's like, I remember when you was a kid, I used to be at Rico House. I know you. So you need to be doing this musically because I've seen you experience this. Put that in your music. And it's just something that we've always had out here because it's not like we outcasted because the West Coast has a lot of support and a lot of love from the rest of the world when it comes to music. But we just so far from everybody else. Yeah. You can drive from New York to Atlanta. You ain't doing that out here.
Yeah.
So since it's just us over here, it's like we kind of have to have our own back. It was a point in time where the industry was gone. It had moved from here because people had fear of just the circumstances of the city. So we needed people like The Game to carry us to the forefront. And then we needed Mustard and YG to carry us to the forefront. And people that didn't necessarily make it all the way that were important to me, from the Dom Kennedys and the Pac Divs, You and I, Blue, Exile, all the stuff that Alchemist is doing, Dilated Peoples, Evidence. We just had so much music out here that was diverse. So I think the diversity in the city, the diversity in our population, kind of how displaced we are, and the diversity in our music allows us to all kind of deal with each other in a good way.
I love what you said about, like, being from a neighborhood gave you a lot of intel, not only about your surroundings and that environment, but who and what or how they could possibly operate from other environments, right? And when you talk about Mustard, you talk about YG, you talk about Q, you talking about TD, you talking about, that's a variety. And that melting pot is from all over. But when you're talking about music and you're talking about the understanding and approach to it, I think there's a mutual level of respect,
exactly,
right? That you guys have now built for one another. There's also a high level of support of just understanding like what it means to put on for your city and more importantly, your neighborhood and to better define or punctuate what people don't know. That's how I always look at it, right? Like, you know, I don't know what I don't know. But when things are explained or when things are presented in a way where it's not only interesting, it's education. And when I hear you talk, there's so much information. It's coming out so fucking fast, but there's so much valuable information. And what I love the most about what you just said is like that fly on the wall aspect. I was brought in the rooms where I had no idea who these people were, but I later discovered and found out that this person was attached to this. And I knew that because of the homie here. But, you know, I was brought in because of this relationship. Mac did this for me. But then when I met Q, that's how I ran into this and that. Like, it's so dope to see how the stages of progression present themselves, but they all start with not being afraid to just be in the room and be a sponge. To be a fucking sponge. And I can say for myself, that's where a lot of my successes come from. Being in the rooms that I wasn't supposed to be in, and when I got in, I just chose to listen. And I chose to fucking establish relationships that ended up being long-lasting fucking opportunities for me. People's whose hands I shook my hand back. And those same hands I can go back to and go remember the time. Holy shit, yeah, that's when you were fucking 19. It's crazy. Crazy how things happen. Crazy how fast they happen and you look up. You talking about being 15, talk about now being 30. When you talk about that family, have you ever went back and asked the question, how come y'all didn't ask more? How come you guys like, why do we let it just kind of be a silent?
You know what's crazy? Every time I see their mom, she like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. You got to come by the house and see me. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know why you let me over there. And she's like, oh, you was a good boy. That's
it.
That's it. All. No details, no nothing. Just you was a good boy. And it's funny, like, just I have so much appreciation for those people, for Sydney, Travis, and their parents. I have so much appreciation for them because they showed me how important it was to not be ashamed and afraid of your community. Because I get older and I get Zillow.
Okay.
And y'all ain't have to be over there because that house ain't cheap.
Okay.
But it's like the indoctrination and the respect that they have for that community. Because I look at what I would have done if I would have had that opportunity to do that. I would have probably went somewhere else and be like, all right, I need to get out of here based on my background. But them not having that background, them looking around and seeing me and seeing the rest of us as children.
Yeah.
That's the fight you have as a kid. When you're a kid and you growing up and you 12, 13 years old, 11 years old, and you know, you in the crossfire of violence or you in the crossfire of, I guess, just tension. You're kind of engulfed in tension. You start to believe the hype and you look at yourself as an adult. Like I stopped going to school when I was 15 years old. I never wanted to. I never got bad grades, but it's like, okay, this is what the environment is. Oh, mom, you ain't graduated. I ain't going to school tomorrow. All right. But my mom didn't get the opportunity to graduate neither. She a math whiz. So it's like, it's not that she didn't, she's like Compton at the time. Compton in the 70s, you don't really want to go to school. You know what I mean? So I understood it. And just based on what you're saying, it made me want to ask you a question because I remember not your first work, obviously, but a lot of your earlier work. And because I was a child at the time. But when I look at the work, I study mannerisms. I study like technique because I didn't grow up really into the arts and things like that. So I have a different appreciation for it. But when you look at the stuff that you've created, throughout all of the success, you've been able to keep the things that makes it feel human, like for your mannerisms from on camera, from mannerisms, hand placement, arm movements, your comedic timing, the comedic timing that you would see in Soul Plane, you would also see for your version, you also see in the later stuff. You see it in Jumanji. You get what I'm saying? So how are you able to just control your thought process enough to know, okay, stage 1 got me to stage 12. Because that's something that I feel like we lose a lot as Black people. We get in these bigger rooms and it's like, all right, now we got to fit in because we used to trying to be camouflaged in our environments. We camouflage because of society, the police, education system. But you somebody who I think don't get enough credit for how you were able to retain the things that mattered in our subcultures when you got to the highest plateau.
You spoke on it earlier and you hit the nail on the head when you're just like, you know, the highlight of being yourself and truly staying true to that, like never swaying, never playing seesaw with that, like never playing the game of let me be who I think I have to be so that I can get what I think I need in return. what you find is that the most genuine receptions come from the most genuine presentation, right? So when you are who you are, people gonna fuck with you or not. And good people are good people. I stand on that. Good people are good people. You can't fake being a good person. Eventually the gig is up. So it's only a matter of time before the truth comes out and who you really are. But good energy is not forced. It's just a cadence. It's a real cadence. And the one thing that I've always been able to have is a connection to just people because I'm not afraid to be around people. My job has put me around people my entire life. I don't shy away from people. Now, granted, I got my days where I don't feel like dealing with people, but that doesn't mean I don't like people. That don't mean that I can't sit in the room and talk to whomever about whatever. That don't mean that I'm afraid to say, I don't know what the fuck you talking about. I don't understand that. Explain that to me. Like, that's just me being who I am. And what you'll find is that people flourish in truth. Oh, shit, man. You don't know what I'm talking about? All right, my bad. Let me say this. Like, everybody's afraid to look bad, look stupid, look weak, look like they just can't. You'll find that when you're very confident in either knowing, not knowing, being comfortable, uncomfortable. It's like, you know what an example is? Here's a good example. You ever see somebody get in the room, like, and they cold as shit in the room and they just sit? Them motherfuckers be cold as shit. Yeah. They don't say nothing though. And somebody go, hey, you cold?
Yeah.
And they go, I'm cold as shit. It's like, well,
why you ain't say
nothing?
Why
you ain't say nothing, man? I fuck with the air. But if you had said something, I put the heat on. I ain't want to bother nobody. And they sneezing, getting sick. It's like, you're willing to go through the worst levels as a human because the idea of speaking up and saying something brings you discomfort. Where the comfort and you just saying it is immediate because somebody's going to go out their way to make sure you're okay. They'll get a blanket. They'll adjust the temperature. But some people just are not okay. It's like when people come to your home or your office, whatever space you have. Some people are thirsty as soon as they fucking walk in. If you don't ask a person, hey, you want some water or something? They're never going to say anything. Yeah. I'm okay with going in the room as soon as I get there. Hey, do y'all got water or coffee or anything like that? Not because I'm an asshole, but I would love something to drink if I could. Some people are so afraid to just voice things that they think and feel. I'm not. I haven't been. So all of the mannerisms and the comfort, it just truly does come from, there's no bad reaction that I can get from being a good person. You can create one. You can create a bad perception of me, but it's not based off of reality because I'm a good dude. I know I'm a good dude. I know I got a good fucking heart. You can create whatever story you want and you can flourish off of that. But if you've met me and you've been around me, there's no shot that you walk away with bad stories. There's no shot that you walk away with a bad experience. Because I'm not that person. And even if there's a bad thing that happened, there's a good reason of why, and then there's a solution immediately after. That's just what I am. So I think in acting and anything where I've been able to work with, I create a great work environment because I feel like that's going to service us the best. If you come in here and it's time for us to talk and there's no like it's just cold. Hey, how you doing, man? Are you guys ready to count down?
Yeah, that's like,
okay.
What are we
guys, I got you like, damn, this nigga ain't say hey or nothing. I ain't shake his hand and we just But there's a calm. I call it the shoulder effect. Some people keep their shoulders up here. Some people are okay with their shoulders just being relaxed or a slouch. Some people feel like they got to sit up straight when they're in rooms where people don't know you. But I never sit up straight. I always slouch. I'm not a dickhead. I just sit up straight. Hurts my fucking back. I'm not okay with hurting my back in front of these strangers. Why would I do that? And if anybody asks me why I slouch, I'm like, oh yeah, man, I got back problems now. I'm getting older. It's dialogue. It's honest dialogue. I want to talk to you, and I'm gonna ride off of that same thing and go to a nice segue as you talk about comfort. Your level of comfort on camera is dope as fuck. You got that the dry humor, big humor gene. In other words, without doing the most, I'm doing a lot. And my words. The comedy comes from the sentences. The comedy comes from the situation. The comedy comes from the reaction. Nothing's over the top. Nothing is overstated. Nothing is the performance of life. And here comes the bit. It's so smart the way that you operate in your show. And, you know, with Abbott, I know that there's a world of that as well. You know, Insecure, there was a space and place for that as well. It's grounded, very, very grounded. And the moments of laughter are coming from the situation that people can relate to. Is that intentional? And if so, when did you realize that you had that thing? Like, when did you realize that the laugh was something that serviced the person that you are? Like, I like the idea of the laugh. I like the idea of the comedy. That's something that I want to do. When did you get that light bulb, especially while doing the music? Like, how were you able to tap into that and why?
It was mostly other people pointing things out from very surface level interviews. You know, you knew in music, who are you? Where'd you come from? And then you realize certain things that get laughs. And then, you know, having conversations with fans. You know, you started a small show, might be 200 people here, 300 people here. And sometimes you use a 200 or 300 seat venue with 40 people in there. So now it's just us. Now we can communicate. So just seeing like that people go to you when they're looking for a sense of happiness or a sense of enjoyment was something that was interesting to me because I wasn't necessarily trying to do that. But it's like you said, the kind of person you are is the kind of person you are. So later down the line, oh, you should do this, you should do that, oh, you should do this. And then it would always lean towards comedy. Now, I grew up with a family that was every stereotype you could pick about black people in the ghetto of California.
Your sister being 56 is the funniest shit I've ever heard.
You get what I'm saying?
No,
like she thinks she my mama, which I get. Now that I'm older, I'm like, I kind of feel
it's
you.
the funniest shit in the world.
So it's like when I think about my family, I'm like, okay, on the outside looking in, you catch the bus, you get in trouble, you run into people like, oh, no, I know your mom, I know your pops, blah, blah. And I'm like, who are these people? You get what I'm saying? Because they so much older to be out, I realize, oh, y'all was some niggas. Like, I get it. But my family around, they always been funny, always been goofy, always been clowning each other. It was a long time. My sister's in her 50s. So when I was a child, she was grown as hell. And she used to tell me I was adopted. It was her thing. And she used to swear up and down, we was adopted, we found you, showing me the Brenda Got a Baby video. That was you. Like, and it was no joke about it. And my family's always had a morbid sense of humor based on their experiences. But I think when you grow up in this condensed vacuum, like, shit just get funny after a while. I'm never gonna forget my mom. My mom is the worst. My mom is like has the darkest sense of humor possible, and she think everything is funny, and she think everything is a joke. And I didn't know she was playing until I got grown. But she had certain moments that I remember vividly. Like we used to have these Christmas parties. My whole family, we was living 10 people, one apartment, 2-bedroom until we get kicked out. It was that. So we used to always throw parties, and we had an apartment on Anaheim, and it was a really, really big apartment. And I remember we had a Christmas party once, and my mom used to go to Spencer's Gifts in the mall and get these fake lottery tickets and give them to my family members. She'll give it to the brokest people in the family. So I remember once I had a cousin, and I was scared of him. I'm not gonna lie, like he don't look at you when he shake your hand. You 5, 6 years old, he shaking your hand hard as hell. He calling you homie. Like I don't think I ever heard him say my name in my life. And me and my sister got different dads. My sister dad died when she was a baby. So my sister family, I was like, my mom used to be like, you don't know them niggas like that. She's like, just say hello, but she don't know them niggas like that. Don't spend no time with them. I'm like, all right. So this is one of my cousins from my sister family side, and they like way worse than my pops people. So I remember we had a Christmas party, and my mom used to smoke cigarettes in the house. So my mom used to always sit in the corner because people wouldn't want her to be smoking cigarettes, not her kids. She's like, this is my house, I'm gonna do what I want. So my mom's sitting in the corner smoking a cigarette. They opened up gifts. She gave him the lottery ticket. So he scratched the lottery ticket, and obviously it said he won. And he just started crying, profusely crying hard. He like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Mama, we good. Mama, we good. His mama get up and start crying. So I'm looking at my mama. She got her leg. My mama sit like this, right? She sit like this. So she's smoking a cigarette and shaking her leg. She just looking at him. Go, this for all the homies. This for all the dead homies. All the little kids with no arms and legs. I can't wait to get out of Compton. Yada, yada. My mama going, baby, read the back. Read the back. So he's like, mama, VI. They start crying, everybody crying. My older sister knows it's fake, but she playing along, she hugging them. Jesus, thank you, Jesus. He don't we throw Jesus in the black people think it's for real. So my mom like, but the back, you gotta know where to cash it. You gotta know where to cash it. smoking a cigarette, just looking at him dead in his eyes. So he started reading it, like, Spanish had the little corny jokes on the back. Cash at, I remember the sentence. I don't remember much of what he read, but I remember he was like, cash at your mama's house. And everybody started laughing. My mama just looking at him dead in his eyes. Not just cracking a little smile. And in my head, I'm like, this lady evil. but later down the line, I think I've adopted a lot of that.
No, that's brilliant. What are you talking about?
Because
that's
it's
brilliant.
like, because my mama like, I know you broke, because I'm broke.
Yeah.
You think you gonna get out of here,
That's brilliant.
We never getting out of here.
That's evil. That's evil, brilliant humor. If you gonna go for the bit, go for the bit.
And I'm never gonna forget it. Like, my mama everything is funny to her because you gotta find the humor and the beauty in the situation. Because I remember I was like, Mama, we gotta move. He's like, Mama, we gotta move out of Long Beach. When we moved out of Long Beach, we moved to San Pedro. I like it over here. Mom, we need to move. Nah, I'm gonna stay over here. All right, Mama, I'm finna move or find anywhere you want to stay. She go find an apartment in Compton. I'm like, watch it. I've been over here for 50-some years. They not looking for me. They looking for you.
Yeah.
It's like, I ain't scared.
Yeah.
I ain't raised you to be scary. Like, how you scared of niggas? You spent your whole life around niggas. Like, the white folks want to put you in the tree, but you scared of some niggas. Shame on you. And she started laughing. And the truth in those statements
It's real.
is what makes it funny.
Yeah.
So I think growing up with my grandparents watching MASH and Andy Griffith Show, Lucille Ball, and seeing how all these things are grounded in their reality, and then getting older and watching the Jamie Foxx Show, and then watching the Steve Harvey Show, and then watching Chappelle Show, all these things were grounded in day-to-day reality. And I think the day-to-day life of us out here is so specific that it's no way for us to ignore that and be able to tell the truth. And like you said, the honesty is important. So when I think about that, and I think about what I lean towards creatively, all right, why can't we do Zach Galifianakis Baskets? Why can't we do David Lynch Dystopian? Why can't we do Coen Brothers Human? Why can't we make a Serious Man? Why is that only for them? Why can't we do Grand Budapest Hotel or these unique dialogue styles? Because when I look at how we speak in music, when I look at how we speak in the Mario Van Peebles movie, when I look at how we speak in these things, when I look at blaxploitation films, we speaking, like, we giving lingo. That's how we talk as black people. So it's like, all right, if it's a way that you can talk baseball and watch these movies and watch these shows and be able to translate our environment without pulling our cards, that's real success. Because when I watched Godfather, I don't know what whacked mean. I had to figure it out. But the context is important. And I think that it's important to lean on that context creatively, because I personally feel like we smart enough to get anything. We creative enough to get anything. We witty enough to get everything. But I have the ability to go do my other job. So I do understand the privilege in that. So if I get the opportunity to do these other things, whether it's film or television or comedy or just speaking to kids or doing things within the city, real estate, I want to be able to take the risk that somebody else can't take if they don't have that hyphen like you're speaking about. So I take it extremely serious. But as far as getting comfortable on camera, that all comes from my homie Miles Bullock. I met him on set of White Men Can't Jump.
He just Miles just did Fight Night with me. Miles is a talented cat, man.
I'm like, so I'm looking at Calmatic. He was the director of White Men Can Jump, and we did a lot of stuff together, previously music video stuff. I'm like, what you need me to do? He like, nah, just do whatever. I'm like, nigga, that ain't an answer. Like, I need to know what to do. So Miles in the trailer next to me, like, we talking about music and like that. He like, you good? He's like, when I went to theater school and blah, 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 they did this trick where they put the tape on your eyebrow. If you can convey the emotion without lifting your eyebrows, then you're doing a good job. And Clint Eastwood and this and that, and giving me so much game and so much history just to not say you good. But I learned that those meant two different things. Calmatic was basically saying, I trust you to do what you have to do. That's correct. Don't worry about all of this. I trust you. And Miles was saying, what you're doing, what you have is integral to what film and what television is. And it goes to what you're saying as well, just being yourself. So it's just being surrounded around good people. Quinta telling me, I want you on the show because I know you're going to do a good job and you are good at this. And I watch this and this is good. And Miles giving me that kind of reassurance. Kenya giving me reassurance. Calmatic giving me reassurance. I've been surrounded by so many people. Justin Hillian, we did a pilot for The Wood that I think was great. And just that really gave me the opportunity to express myself outside of character and finding ways to put my mannerisms and my family and the people I've seen into a character that had nothing to do with me was probably my most fond experience I've ever had. And it didn't even get picked up. So you learn so much in these different situations. I'm just grateful to be able to be in them and really dissect the characters, dissect the role, and dissect the art itself.
What I'm most impressed by in talking to you is, like, you know, you talk so much about your backdrop, where you come from, and you had to get out of there. You went there, got in some trouble, you came back. School, I was like, fuck that, stop, Compton, etc. But you're so well versed. You're clearly well read. You're a guy who has studied, researched the thing that you love. I mean, hearing you just simply run through the list of sitcoms and shows that are compatible to what you do and what you're doing. Like, you don't just come up on that information. Like, there's a discovery in that. But to get there, you got to want to get there. You got to know the road to go down, to get the things and find the answers so you can best do what it is that you want to do. That, to me, that's the other gear. That's the other gear in the engine that a lot of people don't have, right? It's easy to have the talent. It's easy to like, have the idea, but to like really want to do the work behind that work to make those things what they're supposed to be. That's where motherfuckers drop the ball. And you got that. Like you had that thing. And to go from a place, like you said, where your involvement with the participation side, right? I'm working with, and this one gave me an opportunity to do. And okay, this is cool as shit. Man, wow, the confidence that I'm getting from these reassuring words, etc. Well, then you just took the blueprint from the things that you were around, and then you went and created yourself. So with the Kenyas, with the Isas, the Quintas, right? Some level of display of the business had to be shown to you. Some level of description was given to you for you to go, I'm gonna go do my own shit. My story is fucking important. My characters and my family are real people, but damn, man, if I had the opportunity to showcase this, I feel like the reception would be dope as hell. I can write and create my own shit. I'm strong in the feeling that I know I can accomplish this task at hand. What was that turning point to go, I'm going to create my own? Like, I've done this. I've been a part of some really cool shit, man. I'm so thankful for the opportunities, but this has shown me that I can create my own. Was that a suggestion or an idea from some around? Or was that solely you just being in the think tank and just feeding off the environments you were in?
That was more real life grounded than anything funny. It was him right there.
Okay.
So it got to the point to where when I was younger, of course, you're trying to find a way to move out of the current environment into the new environment. And that was a rough transition for me, just based on where my age was at and the kind of person I am. I'm a loyal person to my people. So and I don't really see nothing wrong with our environment, our people. I see something wrong with our mind state. So I'm gonna be knocking on that door until you let me know you ain't opening it, trying to change everybody's mind state. So my manager would always be like, man, my manager being Corey Smith, would always be like, do you understand that the things you say are not normal? The things you experience day to day aren't normal. I remember one day we had a meeting. I was gonna be late to the meeting. I was calling him. I was running through the golf course one day. I was like, "Hey man, I'm at to call you back. We got to reschedule the meeting. The baby shower just got rated." And he was like, "What did you just say to me?" I was like, "Yeah, the baby shower got rated. I'm running through the golf course right now." And it was a dark day, but he just started laughing, and then he called my lawyer, and me and my lawyer on three-way, like, we got to move the meeting. The baby shower got rated. And then he started laughing. So I started laughing. Mind you, I had just got there. I got off the plane. Literally, I had a show. I left in the morning. I got on the plane. I'm like, I'm finna go to the homie baby shower. I pull up. I get out the car. I walk in the building. Somebody kicking the door, say, freeze.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, so I look at my homie. Everybody got their hands up.
Yeah.
I look at my homie like, you should run.
Yeah, you should get out of here.
So I'm like, just from my career alone, because I wasn't even doing nothing wrong. He's like, you don't want to be here when the news comes. So then, boom, I run a helicopter down, run to the golf course. I know the old white dudes at the golf course. I've been my whole life. They're like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, how you doing? So I'm on the phone running through the golf course. And then I bail everybody out. I'm like, we need to change our lives. And everybody like, yeah, whatever, nigga, go home. And then I get home, my manager's like, so you got to tell me the whole story. And I told him the whole story. And then he would just be like, reminding me every time I told him something that was happening in my regular life. He was like, that's not normal. That's not normal. Yeah. That's not normal. And then as I got older and I was able to take a step back, I would be like, yeah, this is interesting. This is something that's complex, because in my music, I think, like I say, I'm a person that is kind of similar to my mother, so everything is funny to me. Like nothing's that serious. But in my music, it's extremely serious because I look at music as far as historical impact. Like, okay, if someone is going to step out, it was just to pivot a little bit. It was a change I saw doing live shows because I had a song called North North. That was a pretty big song. We had a clip of a lady going viral saying she didn't want her children listening to this kind of music on satellite radio, which is, they play whatever they want. But I got what she was saying from a parent standpoint. It's kind of, music is dark and it's a lot of cursing. I get it. Like, I get it. But I got on the stage and we was in Europe and we was doing really well. And I'm like, man, I'm in front of all these people from all these different countries, all these different backgrounds. What do I really have to tell them? So then I try to get more into the complexities and the good and the bad and kind of more bigger picture stuff, which kind of hardwired my brain for these things. And then we get an opportunity to do voiceovers, we get an opportunity to be in other things, add a narrative to the videos. But the whole time I've been telling people, I got this kid who needs to be in the space, And we had a lot of doors closed, but utilizing music videos, utilizing narrative, trying to get that message across clearer. I was utilizing this practice without really knowing I was doing it. We had meetings. They're like, oh, we want to try to learn how to get in these writing rooms and produce this and do this and act in this. And it was more so writing than anything else. And they were like, yeah, that sounds good. Here's a list of IPs that we need music for. And we're trying to do a Twisted Metal show. See if you can have any music about that. And we didn't take it as a slight. We took it as, okay, now we need to position ourselves better to work harder. So over time, I just utilized every opportunity I had. Okay, we're doing interviews. I don't think this is conveyed well enough. How do I convey this in this manner? I don't think this part is shown. How do we get laughs out of this serious interview? Doing these different things that necessarily weren't geared towards what I wanted to do, utilizing all of them as practice. So by the time I got to these other things, it was almost muscle memory. So then we had a moment on the show trying to get it greenlit with Netflix that Calmatic had called me and said, look, this show's not going to get done if you don't write it. Because they had attached writers to it, talented people, but he was like, it's not what it needs to be for you. He's like, when we did the shorts that necessarily got us the show, he was like, you just said, I need a barbershop. And then we got there and you did everything else. He's like, there was no script. There was no plan. And you just had an idea what you want to do. He's like, when we cut the cameras on, you were able to do it. He was like, you need to have that same kind of confidence. Download the final draft. He's like, it's $300, go get it. Call one of my writers on the show, Maurice Williams. I said, how you do this? How you do that? Talking to Jeff Padnu, who was my script supervisor. How do you do this? How do you do that? And then I wrote it. And then I realized writing music had allowed me to write in a very, very fast pace. So I was able to write one of the pilot scripts overnight. And then I was able to do in edits of like 4 rewrites in a room in like an hour, 2 hours. I was able to just kind of do things it don't have to rhyme. So I'm telling the same stories essentially, and I'm telling them in the format and the dialogue and kind of the flow in which I see naturally in my mind, but I don't have the constraint of things having to rhyme and be on an A-B pattern or have to be in kind of in a musical sense. So it was easier to do. So then I started trying to challenge myself. Okay, how do I craft a monologue? If I'm able to craft a monologue, okay, how do I craft a monologue, but kind of inadvertently make it third person? How do I make this man speaking sound like Vince's conscious speaking to him inside of a bank? That way, when he walks into the hallway, he has a moment of reconciliation. And I'll start figuring out how to do those things, and then it kind of took off from there.
I really do hope. I hope that the listeners are really listening to what's being said. He's not only giving you the blueprint of the what, the why, the how, but like he's showing you how things line up that you don't see. He didn't know that the music would take him to the space of writing, and he didn't know that the writing the music would be hand in hand with the creative side of writing stories or storytelling or script writing and TV show development. In the beginning stages, you don't know. You don't know the direction. Shit is it's real foggy in the beginning. It's a fucking puzzle and the pieces are all over the place. And how you decide to put those pieces together, ultimately always up to you. But once you start to line them up correctly, that picture get more clear. It get clear as fuck. And hearing you talk about the writing and the song and didn't have to rhyme. I didn't have to worry about the patterns, the A-B pattern, this and that. With this, it was just different, but write a monologue. But now I see it. But if I'm writing a song, I want this side. If I was doing it, okay, well, this would be my voice talking to this, but this is the experience I want fucking people to understand. But in understanding that, I also got to see that point. Okay, but I can do this now, and I can equate that to, like, that to me is fascinating. Those breakdowns are next level. And I mean, look, this is why I do gold mines. I do gold mines for these moments, right? To sit across from people that I don't know personally, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for, and I can have an authentic conversation. And in that conversation, there can be discovery. Learn something about you, you can learn something about me. But the people get to walk away with what I would like to call like motivation, inspiration attached to real shit. Right? This isn't coloring. We're not giving you color just for the sake of. Like, we're giving you real stories in real life, the real dialogue. And I think that's what's definitely needed in today's time. And your story in this hour, it's a fucking hour. It's a compact hour, but look at where the fuck we went. I can break down what I now know about you, and I can break down what I chose not to dig into because it served no value or purpose to this conversation, right? When you mentioned, I got in some trouble in Atlanta. That's no value to me. I don't need to know that. But you left, and the beauty of what you said when you left is I left and I got to LA and I had a new level of appreciation for LA. I had a new understanding for LA. I knew that the fucking beaches meant something. I wanted to walk out and I wanted to fucking actually have a different level set of home. And I also really started to look at the culture, and I started to look at my environment. Instead of trying to run away from it, I embraced it. Why? Because we don't do it. And we don't do it because of the mindset that we're forced to have because of decisions that we make ourselves. I chose not to do that. My mom, my fucking family, where they are and where they're from, but what they've done and how they made me understand. I'm not in a rush to go and venture out. I'm in a rush to fix. And you're a person that is, you can't fake the love for your people. You can't act that out. It's clear, like, when people are, you know what I mean? Like, you give a shit. And even in your level of success and with your talent reaching, new heights, you give a shit. And you're still like, even when you talked about Long Beach, it's like, yeah, man, like, dude, it's sections. It's a lot of politics and shit going on, man. I would love to be able to go and just have some level of solve in that. Maybe it's not all, but man, I swear I would love to do that because I know what it is and I know why, but it's separated and we're all over the place, but this is why. Like, literally, if you notice, I sat back and I just I listened. When motherfuckers talk, so dope when you can actually listen because what they're saying is interesting. And you said a lot of interesting and fascinating things, but the highlight of it all comes from like a dude that actually gives a shit about where he came from, understands the value of the people that help shape and mold you into who you are, and now you're taking your opportunity with your talent to have a bandwidth to tell a story attached to a fucking world that people just need to know more about. I dissected the whole thing and just listening to you. It's fucking fascinating. I gotta punctuate the conversation with what I think is a segue attached to what you said. As you talk about, you want to be a part of change. You want to be a representation of like, the new mindset that people from the hood in the hood should have. It's not always about the escape. It's about improving. It's about making this thing better. We had a moment recently where you get to see the West Coast come to a place where everybody's on the same page and stage of just like, yo, unity. We all are fucking with one another and we all should. And this moment is one that was synergized, of course, by K-Dot. And you saw Bloods, Crips, you saw, you get to go down what the fuck it all is. I mean, goddamn, the list is long. The gang knowledge that you have to have in LA is significant. I have none of it. On purpose, by the way. I believe ignorance is bliss. So when niggas ask me questions, I don't know what you're talking about. I think there's so much value in being able to go, I don't know what the fuck that is, right? I have no idea. But what I do know is that it was a powerful moment of unity and, seeing all those artists just come together and share a stage and share a moment. There was a clip where you was just like, damn, man, you were mad because you were on tour, but you would have did anything to be there, to be a part of that moment. And the moment, like I said, was about embracing the idea of one, of coming together and sharing. What do you think the next stages are now after something like that? Do you think that there is a new moment for the artists here in the West Coast to say, let's piggyback off of that and do? or let's try to become, or let's use this as an example to showcase or show people. What do you think in a hypothetical form? Because of course you don't know, you don't have all the answers. But if you had an idea of what the next big thing could be after the moment that we just recently witnessed.
I think the word that you said to me that's most important in that statement is being able to witness it and it being cemented in history for the rest of the world to see. And that's a big, thanks to Tim. That's a big thanks to Dot as well. It's interesting because the unity and the camaraderie been here since the 90s. Like big in part to Jim Brown doing a lot of groundwork, big in part of a lot of dudes from these neighborhoods, from these communities doing the groundwork. I think the rest of the world knowing is important because if the rest of the world sees it and the rest of the world can champion it, and we see progress being championed, and if we can see progress being championed, then more people lean towards progress because we all want to be championed. It's human nature. I think when you think about relationship that Top has with certain dudes and my conception, these people that have been in music, that have been in the streets, that are very important and very vital, you think about the fact like, it's always been connectivity amongst these neighborhoods. It's always been connectivity amongst these people. We just don't get to see behind the curtain that much. And that's the privilege of having purity in artists. Having purity in artists, you have someone like Kendrick who has been sharing his story, sharing his life, sharing his family, sharing his background. So he's comfortable sharing the progress. He's comfortable pulling the veil. You get what I'm saying? DJ Head, Mustard, these people have always brought people together. Like I said, when I work with Mac, and then I work with Absol, and I work with Q, and I work with Kendrick, all that is connectivity to say, okay, if you're on this side of the fence, you're on this side of the fence, we here together. Every time I see Top, he's encouraging me or trying to share something that he thinks is a good idea for me or something that he might need help on. Same with anybody that's from here. Literally, we think about Big Von in the Bay being the number one person to play my records, but we have to do a better job of sharing this information and letting people know the love I get from Too Short, the love I get from Quick. I had a studio session. DJ Quick was under the board fixing it because we couldn't use some of the stuff in the studio. He said, bring me a quarter, and he said a quarter, a piece of paper, and a screwdriver. And it's like...
Not tools, by the way. Yeah.
Not at all.
I think he probably could have solved it a lot faster.
With some tools.
Just with some tools.
And it's seeing this man who my sister told me was like the boogeyman in Compton growing up because he just knew how to do so much musically and was a genius. And they was growing up and he was like, he the one. Seeing him do something for me. But we got to do a better job of sharing that. Yeah. And I think he did a good job of sharing and showing the unity and camaraderie because the crazy thing about it, everybody up there knew each other. Yeah. Everybody up there rock with each other. Everybody up there support each other. But I don't think the world knows that. Yeah. Yeah. So I think the next step is just to continue sharing and to continue showing the process and the progress. Like when I do verses and things for people that's from out here, I ain't never asked nobody for $1. But the reason I never asked nobody for $1 is because they never asked me for $1. Not Kendrick, not Q, not E40, not nobody has ever asked, not Quick, nobody asked. So nobody's asked me for nothing. Kaylani, nobody's asked for $1. So I think it's only right to share the same thing, but we got to show the world, we got to show the kids, because what happens usually in this environment is you get in trouble, you get brainwashed, indoctrinated, you go to jail and everybody friends, and then you try to get out and tell people it's cool when you go to jail. We can alleviate that step through art, through commerce, through opportunities, through education. We can alleviate that step to where you don't got to get incarcerated and you don't got to sit down and eat and you don't got to pop the shield over somebody who considered to be your enemy. Now we can see through this art and through our creativity that we are all on the same page if we want to be. And I really think we should be grateful for what we saw, because it's always been camaraderie amongst Crips and Bloods. It's always been camaraderie around Black people when it comes to music and certain things. Of course, we all have our tips. That's humanity. But for a large part of time, we believed that it was just straight up whole banging, set tripping. And when the rest of the world, but out here, we always knew it just depends. It's case-by-case basis. And if it's a case-by-case basis, if we show so much overwhelming support and love, it's impossible for it not to change. And not even to get too much into it, but that song and these moments that people think might be negative, it's doing a lot of good out here in these streets. And I mean, to the point that people is, peace treatying. People is...
I think the older, the wise,
exactly,
the smart, it's clear, right?
And we gotta give these children a chance to grow.
Yes.
And if we show these kids through the music and through the art that we create that we need young stories, but I want to see older Black men. I want to see older black women. I want to see older families. I want to see these things represented in music and art and commerce. Because when I was a kid and I seen the Steve Harvey show and I seen Martin, and I seen all these things, I look forward to being an adult and having these experiences. So I think it's up to us to create those moments as well.
It's all about the choice. And as an example, my question to you is based off of synergy and energy that I was able to see these artists share in a moment. It's not about the overarching concept attached to those guys and what that is. That's entertainment. That's the fun side of it. That's not the thing that you should be looking at in the moment. You should be looking at the concept of what you're witnessing from a landscape of individuals that are now using a moment to say, hey man, come here, man. Like, this is dope for people to see and see our energy and us stand together. And I think, like you said, that's contagious.
Yes.
It's very contagious. Look, man, I could talk to you for fucking ever. I really could. You get it. You get it. Your talent, of course, is obvious, dude, but your mind, you got quite the mindset. And as someone that can relate, nothing but respect and admiration to you, for you. And I just want to see you do more. I want to see you win. I love what you're doing. I love your approach to doing it. And I love your reason. A lot of motherfuckers don't have a reason. You got a fucking reason. You got a reason for the drive. So ammunition is hard to find. But if you got fucking unlimited ammunition and you know where you're using it, man, every day is a great day for you. So I want to see you just have more. And to the listeners, if you're not educated on Vince Staples, do yourself a favor and become educated. Not only in his music, but goddamn it, in his work. The guy is a creative. He's a hyphenate. And I'm very fortunate and lucky that I got to sit across from him and talk to him in depth today. This is Gold Mines. You already know what we do here, guys. We drop gold. We talk to people so that you can walk away with information that you did not have or know you need. But goddamn it, today you got it. These are gems. Put them in your fucking pocket. Use them how you may. That's it. I'll see you next time. I appreciate you, Vince.